Southern Kentucky's great outdoors on ESPN 102.7 FM and 104 The Score in Glasgow. Brought to you by Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating and Cooling and Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center. With your host, Brian Webb. Also starring John Kirby and Sergeant J.D. Williams from Mohawk Outdoors. Josh Honeycutt from Realtree Outdoors. Also made possible by Swagger Bipods, the Van Store, Bowling Green and Glasgow. Your Can-Am headquarters. J&K Used Cars on the Bypass. United Furniture and Appliance. Our national sponsor, Big & J Long Range Attractants. Segments in part by Rockcastle Shooting Center, The Rock, and Renegade Marine, featuring Realtree's Michael Penley Timber 2 Table Wild Game Recipes. Made possible by Pabst Beef Jerky, fueling your outdoor lifestyle. And all phone interviews via the Linex of Bowling Green hotline. Get ready for all things outdoors. Here's your host, Brian Webb.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors, and we like to fire it up with a note from our good buddy, Uncle Ted.
I am Southern Kentucky Great Outdoors. I am your spirit of the wild, my brother. God bless America. God bless Kentucky. God bless working hard, playing hard American families in the asset column. We are blood brothers.
Yeah. Appreciate everybody tuning in for another episode. My goodness, Kirby, we are joined by John Kirby, Josh Honeycutt, Brian Webb here, your host, also pulling double duty on the board, so you know there'll be a snafu or two tonight.
Look out.
Oh, it's great stuff, man. I mean, we talked, we kind of, wrapped up, put a bow on deer season last week. Get ready to get Michael Penley Timber to the table. He'll have something to get us, get our taste buds all ready for supper tonight. Some of you may have already eaten, but you might want to eat again once you hear this guy because he's fun. Realtree takes care of that, and that's a good stuff, and you can find him right there on Realtree.com, and check that out. You can also find these two guys on Realtree.com, and they write and do a lot for many different publications, and we're lucky enough to have them here at ESPN 102.7. Guys, I guess turkey season's the next thing coming up, right?
Yeah, it won't be long. Looking forward to it. I've been seeing some birds out lately. Josh, you?
Yeah, I actually saw a group of about 8, maybe 10 toms on the way over here. They're just out kind of milling around on the range.
Yep. You got big plans for turkey season. I know you and I both, we love to turkey hunt, but we both take a lot of people turkey hunting too. That's always a fun aspect of turkey hunting in my mind. What about you?
Yeah, for sure. I tell you, my funnest hunt last season was taking a guy that I go to church with. Took him. He'd never killed a deer or a turkey. And, it's pretty fortunate to take him on one of the farms that we have, and he killed his first bird last spring. So that's always fun. Looking forward to doing stuff like that again this spring. And probably take a few hunters and, some new, some not. And obviously we'll be enjoying some time together in the woods too. But looking forward to it. It'll be here before we know it.
Yep, absolutely, man. My sentiments exactly.
I better have a trip to the woods.
We got
I gotta get me a tom,
year.
man. I mean,
that's right.
I'm already thinking about it. I'm like, let's see, I'll be down 100 for the last 2 years if I don't get one buying my tag. Didn't even just went to waste, man.
You can't look at it that way.
I know. It's so much fun, man. Got him on the Linex hotline. Brought to you by Pabst Beef Jerky. Go to PabstJerky.com. That's PAPSJERKY.com for some Pabst perfection. You know what they got out there, Penley? New. You're going to be seeing in stores. You're going to love it. It's going to be perfect for the deer stand. They're going to have, they've already came out with it. It's in stores now. Flavored beef sticks with the Grippo's barbecue on them, dude.
Nice.
Yeah, you're gonna have a coronary. Well, I mean, not from the food. Let's retract. Not from the food. It's from the enjoyment of the taste of your taste buds. Man, we've been chatting here for a minute. Turkey season coming. I know you're looking forward to it, but
I am so ready for turkey season.
Well, these guys are going to rap about a lot of stuff tonight. Maybe that'll be one of the topics.
Are you gonna have your daughter still qualify for the youth season?
No, this is pot roast. This will be pot roast last. He's the youngest, so
you got one more youth season, one more hurrah for the Kentucky 20 spring turkey season.
Yep, one more youth season to go, and I've already been recruited to take some other kids out the following year. So we'll be doing youth season with somebody from now on.
I tell you, I'm sure you'll be talking food here in a minute, but tell me, what do you think about having that 2-week gap instead of a 1-week gap between youth and regular season?
I don't mind it. A lot of times the youth birds are still really flocked up, so it's kind of hit or miss on that. You can be on a good farm and not see any birds, and everyone be on the farm next to it. But when you get a big flock in, man, it's fun to call in an entire flock at once and have birds all around you. So it's I like it okay. A lot of times, though, the weather's still really cold. We had snow a couple of years ago, big snow.
Yeah.
So,
well, this year the dates looks like, I think the preliminary dates anyway, they might have changed them. Whereas April 4th and 5th for the youth weekend and April 18th for the regular season opener.
18th for regular, yeah. Yeah, so it should hit just about right.
It'll be good as always.
Yep.
Looking forward to it. Michael, what we got cooking this week?
Well, we're going to talk soup this week. You mentioned soup around here, and everybody automatically thinks bean and bacon or chicken noodle or a vegetable, the standard soups that we eat. But every food culture has soup. I mean, that's a given. No matter where you go in the world, there's going to be soup. And the Mexican version of, how everybody thinks chicken noodle soup will heal anything if you're feeling bad or just cold.
Even the soul.
In Mexico,
Exactly.
In Mexico, that same soup that they call it albandinga down there, and it's basically a meatball soup, and it's got some of the same things. It's got carrots in it, a little bit of celery, some onion, and we use Hatch roasted green chilies in it to give it a little bit of a Mexico flavor, a Mexican food flavor. But it's got venison meatballs. We use venison for it, of course. When we're making it, you can use beef or pork or whatever. But I like to make the meatballs the day before, and we take ground venison, and we add about a cup and a half of uncooked rice to it, and mix that in, an egg, a little bit of garlic, some cumin, some oregano, some fresh parsley, and kind of mix all that up and roll it out into basically big bite-sized meatballs, slightly smaller than a golf ball. And I like to stick those in the fridge overnight and let them sit up a little bit. And that egg and that uncooked rice will suck the moisture out of the meatball and make it nice and firm and really hold together. And then for the soup, you start it just like any soup. You start with your aromatics, your onion, your peppers, your celery, your carrots. You cook those down in a little bit of oil, get them started to soften a little bit. Then add chicken stock to it. Bring that to a boil. Drop those meatballs in there and simmer it for about 90 minutes. It's got some cumin. It's got a little bit of chili powder in it, some good Mexican flavor. And it's basically, it's just a really good soup with a little bit of a kick. So it's a good alternative to the standard soups that we see around here all the time.
I've got a question, Michael.
Shoot.
Is chili considered a soup?
I don't. I don't know.
What is chili, man? I thought about that earlier. I was like, when I read your post today, and I was like, I wonder where chili rates. What is it?
If you do what my wife does, and you mix in like crackers and all kinds of stuff to where it's not even chili anymore, it's just nasty.
Yeah.
Eat it with a fork.
It's more of like a casserole than a soup by the time she gets done with it.
My wife likes macaroni.
I put noodles. I was
going to ask next. What about you, Michael? You a macaroni or spaghetti?
I'm a no bean, no macaroni, no crackers. I just like my straight Texas style chili.
There you go.
And when we cook it at home, a lot of times we'll cook a pot of beans separately and a pot of pasta separately, and anybody that wants to mix it in is welcome to.
Yeah.
But that way, everybody doesn't have to.
Yeah, chili, you kind of make it your own,
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Yeah, my wife's, it just looks more like a bowl of gravel with some water mixed in. By the time
what about, why do you think soup's pigeonholed is like only a cold weather affair, Michael?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I admit I'll eat it mostly in the winter. I don't eat a lot of soup in the summertime. I don't know if it's just where it's so warm, so much warmer that we're.
I'll tell you why.
Why is that?
It's because in the wintertime, everybody's inside close to a bathroom already.
Which is a
That
bonus.
might be a good point, yeah.
Super
Speaking
bonus.
of soup, my wife makes the best soup, the knockoff soup from Olive Garden. That
really?
kale, that potato
Yeah.
with kale
She
in
knocked
it.
that
out.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
With the Italian sausage, Michael, really good stuff.
Nice. Yeah.
Since we're bragging on our wives, which is a great thing for us, being that it's
Absolutely.
big game Sunday coming up. But, my wife, she can make skyline chili, and you would think you're sitting there, dude. If I blindfolded you, you would think you were there.
I've never had skyline chili.
Oh, it's so
That's
good,
probably
dude.
like sacrilegious.
I like
to
them
say,
both.
but-
I like Gold Star and Skyline. You like them? Michael?
Of the two, I'm probably a Gold Star fan
Yeah, I
more.
like it. Yeah.
But that cinnamon, I just
Can't do
just
it?
can't do the cinnamon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A lot of people say that.
Does it lead to fireworks and
It's
thunderstorms?
good on hot dog.
Definitely. Chili con carne, if you will. That's good stuff. Penley, everything going good your way, man? We got a couple minutes left.
Yeah, everything's going well. We've got a big squirrel hunt planned for this weekend. Taking a pot roast new pup with some older dogs. Hoping to get her really fired up here at the tail end of season. We got, one more week of the western zone of rabbit season. We're going to try to get out one more time for that.
Y'all going to teach
And,
pot roast new dogs some old tricks?
We're going to try
Don't
to.
bump.
Going to try to. She's really coming on. You know, she's about 5.5 months old now. So she's really starting to figure it out, put two and two together. And I'm hoping that getting her with this older dog, it's a really good dog. And I'm hoping that getting her with her will really flip that light switch on to where she knows that this is what she needs to be doing when she's out there in the woods.
I love watching a new dog get trained, man. But I tell you, my dad, he was hard on his bird dogs, dude. I mean, we had one that you could throw over a fence and it would just lock up in midair and like point at a gnat. And that dog had more lead in its hind end. I mean, I don't know how he'd graze it, but he would graze it from 30, 40 yards. It wouldn't, it's not going to kill it. Just, boy, you hear that thing. I mean, today the PETA would just take you to, they'd throw away the key on you, wouldn't they?
They make collars now that'll get their attention without giving them lead poisoning. So.
Yeah, I think that's what happened to Sammy. We had one named Leck, though, man. I'm telling you, that honestly, he would get on a covey of quail, and I'm telling you, it would sit there in a storm until you got there, wouldn't move. I mean, it was the best dog I ever seen, English setter.
I do love watching good bird dogs work.
It's so much fun, man. It's an art. Yeah. It's an art, I think. I mean, I think it's an art. I guess, I don't know. Well, we got off on a good track there. But, before I let you go, I don't know. I mean, you're a sports guy. Well, the big game coming up, Niners are underdogs in this one. It's hard to believe, but it's plus 1.5. The over-under's 54.5. Michael, what do you like?
I think the Chiefs are going to pull it out in the over for sure. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
I like it, too, and that's exactly what I said last night. And Bratcher over here on 105.3 The Point with 98.3 The Edge, he swears there's no way it's going over. Here's the thing, that game is so long and stretched out, and you got a couple of offenses that can kind of score at will. I mean, I don't see how it stays under it.
I think it's going to be a shootout early with both of them scoring a lot, and then I think it's going to stretch out there at the very end, so.
All I got to say is Sherman's going to burn everything to the ground.
Michael Penley, Timber to Table, check him out. I tell you, I don't understand. If you're not a member of the Real Tree Daily newsletter, there's something wrong with you. I mean, it doesn't cost anything, and you're like a free cookbook, Michael. I mean, all you got to do is register, man, and you can print your recipe off. I mean, you can't beat that. If you're not at realtree.com, there's something wrong with you if you're a hunter or fisherman, right? Right, yep. right, boys.
A lot of good content on there.
You're good content. John Kirby and Josh say so long to you, Michael, and we'll catch up with you next week and have fun on that squirrel hunt and that rabbit hunt, buddy.
Will do. Have a good one, guys.
Yeah, and don't eat too much chili.
Thanks, Michael.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back on Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors with our fishing segment from Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center. We've got Matt Robertson coming up. You'll remember that man. On them fishing when we get back. Yeah.
J&K Used Cars is the place to go when you need a quality automobile at an affordable price. Stop in at 670 on the Bypass in Bowling Green and see this week's special. A 2003 Ford Explorer Sport Track, 4-wheel drive, 4-door truck comes with good miles, V6 engine, sport wheels, power options, step bar, and more for just $89.95. Hurry in because at that price it won't last long. J&K Used Cars with over 40 years of serving the community with affordable prices on quality automobiles. Visit J&K on the Bypass and online at jnkusedcars.com.
Okay, I'm on 65 right now. Which exit do I take?
You're going to want to take I-165.
No, I'm on I-65.
No, take I-165. Should be on the sign.
I'm pretty sure that's not a 1 there. I'm pretty sure that's just another I. I-65?
Aye. Well, ahoy, Polloy.
Look, I'm looking at it. I just don't see a 1 there. It's just I-6.
Suffering from post-natural confusion? See Gary Force Paint and Body Shop. iCar Gold Shop, certified with a lifetime warranty. 311 Vanderbilt Drive behind the Scottsville Road Post Office.
Hey, it's Nick Noble with the Rock Castle Gun Show here. We're talking about Swagger bipods. Do you want just your average barrel rest, or do you want to shoot with some swagger? Introducing the Swagger bipods. They expand your shooting zone with Swagger, the all-terrain hunting bipod. After more than 100 years, finally shooters have a bipod with patented, flexible, hyper-extending telescoping legs that give you the agility like never before. So get rid of stiff legs and get the bipod with infinite maneuverability. Swagger, the bipod that moves.
Southern Kentucky Great Outdoors Hunting segment brought to you by Big & J Long Range Attractants and Swagger Bipods.
Thanks for coming on back, everybody. And on the Linex hotline, Linex bedliners, Roger, Gina, get over there. I guarantee you this guy's got a bedliner because he throws all kinds of stuff in the back of his truck. He's a working man. He's a fisherman. One of these days, that's all he'll do for a living. I don't know how long it'll be, but it won't be long. Matt Robertson, Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center Fishing segment. What's up, dog?
What's up, guys?
Nothing, man. We're just sitting here just living vicariously through you. On them, superstar, and you just getting started, baby. What have you been doing this winter, man? I know you ain't been out too much, but you went down to Florida and fished a little, didn't you?
Dude, I'm still in Florida. I'm sitting down here in Okeechobee, Florida right now. It is 80 degrees.
Oh, my goodness.
Are you on the beach with umbrella drinks looking at bikinis, or are you fishing?
Dude, I'm going to tell you what, you don't want to see none of these women around here in bikinis. They all over 55. Senior community, you don't want none of that.
So you're fishing.
So you're fishing.
Yep, so you fish.
Well, Okeechobee, man. I mean, are you doing the balloon thing? Are you fishing with shiners? You got plastics? What are you doing? Tell me, have you hauled a 20-pounder in yet?
No, man, it's been actually pretty. You have real good days or a real bad day. And I'm actually down here for the Bass Nation Southern Divisional, and today was the first day, and I'm setting in fourth place, and I had just under 20 pounds today, so it was a good day.
Man, what worked for you today, Matt?
Man, I was throwing a 5-inch Strike King swim bait, the Rage Swimmer. And sometimes whenever the fish would miss it, I'd flip a Cinco in there and catch them after they missed it.
A lot of mats and grass and stuff on that lake, right? What do you utilize to penetrate that?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm doing more casting than I am flipping, but so you'll see all the reeds and all the mats and whatnot. So I'm casting to the edge of them and reeling it out, and man, them fish are sitting right up there tight to it.
That's where they're at right now, staging just up under the edge of those mats.
Yeah, they're not way back up under them like normal because the water here is about 2 feet low and there's not a whole lot of water for them to get up under them. Normally they'd be up under it, but since the water's low, they're right out in front of it.
Did you take your boat down there, Matt?
Oh yeah, yep. I'm running my Silver Triton, buddy. I'll tell you what, I don't have any paint left on the bottom of my motor. Oh gosh. Dude, I've hit everything out here, rocks, mud. I learned how to take off in super shallow water. Do about 3 donuts, and then you get up on your own wave. I ain't kidding you.
No kidding. You got to do a circular there to get it just where you plane it out. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like 1.2 feet deep, and I do a couple donuts kicking up mud, and then I get on my wake and take off.
That's impressive. I got a question for you, Matt. As much as you travel, man, you're on the road all the time, hauling your boat. How do you keep your trailer and your tire bearings intact without having to mess with that all the time?
Oh, dude, this past November, I actually had a bearing go out on me because of my brake calipers locked up on them. And, but man, just grease them before every trip you go on, you know. Whenever you're at the ramp and your boat's off the trailer, you go to get your truck at the end of the day, grab a hold of each wheel, shake it, and if you don't feel that bearing loose and you got grease in it, you're good to go.
Gotcha. So you'll put a little grease in there every chance you get, huh?
Oh, yeah. Before I make a long trip, I'll put some grease in there.
Yeah.
Man, tell us a little bit about Okeechobee. I mean, I've never been on it. I think I flew over it one time and got to look down. But growing up, you'd always, I always watch fishing shows, as I'm assuming you probably did, Matt, when you were a kid. I mean, you would see them down there just hauling in just monsters, man. I remember one episode, Mel Tillis was on, and I think he was with Bill Dance down there, and they ended up, like, both of them fell in down there. But trying to get out of a tight spot, the shallow water, I think it was. But you always see them throwing them balloons down there and just catching them monsters. I mean, what's the biggest one? Is it a big fishing community down there? Is there a lot of local fishermen, or is it just kind of a tourist thing?
No, so Okeechobee is nothing but a fishing community, and whenever people come here, they just come here for fishing. And you have crappie fishermen. They call them specks down here, not crappie. Huh. Shiner fishermen. And if you want to, guys are catching 9 and 10 pounders, 8 pounders on artificial baits. But whenever these guys go out shiner fishing, they're going through like 10 dozen shiners a day. Just catching bass after bass, and they're catching 4s and 5s, and then they'll catch a 9 or a 10. And Okeechobee is everything people says it is. It is a big fish factory. I caught over 50 fish today.
I couldn't afford to shiner fish down there.
Yeah, I don't know. Those shiners are.
Buy one, good shiners, $6-7 a piece at times, if not more. That's a lot of money.
$20 a dozen.
$20
for wild
a
shiners.
dozen. Couldn't afford it.
I'll go down there and just catch shiners and sell them.
Work one day, fish the next.
That's right, Kirby. That's exactly right, man. That's got to be so much fun. So you caught 50 today. What was your big?
Maybe 5 pounds at best. I saw a lot of 7s, a lot of 8s weighed in. I think there's even a couple 9s.
Wow.
But man, I never hooked up or even saw a caliber fish like that.
Really?
I'm happy with the bag I caught, but I was really looking to catch one of those Okeechobee giants.
So like that tournament you're in now, is it like 3 fish or 5 fish limit? What is it?
It's 5 fish.
No slot or anything like that. Just 5.
Yeah, no
just 5
slot.
weighed live fish, right?
That's right.
I'm gonna say you had 32 pounds today.
No, I had 19, 14.
Oh, man.
23's leading it.
23's
the
leading
lake fishing a little tough. We just got over a cold front down here, and this lake is super shallow. It's like most of it's only 2 foot right now, 3 or 4 foot in the deeper areas. And man, it was 38 here the other night.
What? Oh,
yeah.
No.
And that just kills them
I
shallow
hope you
fish.
took your long pants.
Oh, dude, I bring my Under Armour with me everywhere.
Heck yeah. That's good stuff. Josh, did you have one for Matt? No, you get it. Josh a hunter. He likes to fish every now and then.
Hey, Matt, Okeechobee, seems like 10, 15 years ago, a couple hurricanes kind of some flooding put a hurting on that lake, if I remember. Has it kind of bounced back the last few years?
Yeah, it has. So whenever the hurricane came through, it literally destroyed a lot of the big, what they call hard lines, where the grass starts in the lake. And those hard lines are coming back. And so the fish have protected areas to get up in and to spawn. So, yeah, the lake, in my opinion, it's doing pretty well. In practice, I've caught a couple 8-pounders, multiple 6s. This place It's phenomenal. If you get a chance to come, you need to come down here.
Bucket list, Kirby.
Yeah.
We got to go down there. I
bucket
mean, I'm
list for the bucket mouth.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
That's world class lake down there for sure.
Yeah.
Are you fishing by yourself? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you if you're fishing by yourself, or is this a partner situation?
It's a draw tournament.
So you got to fish with somebody that you don't know.
Yeah, somebody you don't know in the back of the boat.
How's that? What kind of dynamic is that, Matt?
So, dude, today I had the best co-angler I ever had in my life.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
respectful.
Awesome.
We was cutting up, telling stories. I mean, he's a great guy. I mean, it's times like this, you enjoy it.
That's cool.
Meeting. He's from North Carolina.
Yeah.
Great guy.
There you go. Is he on a radio show tonight after he got done, or?
I don't think so.
I guarantee he's on cloud nine, though, getting to fish with Matt Robinson.
Yeah,
somebody with your personality
right.
and your knowledge. And not to take away from your knowledge, it's unbelievable. You're an incredible fisherman, but your personality is just amazing too. I'm sure what a great experience, not only to learn but to get to hang out with somebody like you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, we had a blast. He caught a lot of fish too, man. I mean, I bet you total we caught, I'm gonna say 80 fish.
Oh wow.
I mean, it's insane, dude.
You got ice on that shoulder?
Oh, I'm gonna need it. I'm fixing to go in there and get some ice on it. I just plugged the batteries up.
Oh yeah, you just getting to where you can relax a little bit. You can get some food in you, man. How do you eat around there? You just go out to the restaurants, or they got like a meeting pavilion where everybody goes and eats a buffet, or what?
There ain't many restaurants down here. I mean, you're hard pressed to find something. But there's a couple little places. No, man, I'm just staying in this little studio apartment like place at a house with my buddy Joe Johnson, and we just, we went to Walmart and cooked some stuff up,
There you go, baby. There you go.
Roughing it, right?
That's roughing it, baby.
If it gets any colder, just pull that fur coat out from the class.
Yeah, there you go.
Dude, I'm going to tell you something. I needed it 4 days ago.
Yeah, 38, man. That's you're not expecting that when you're in the panhandle, are you?
Lord, no.
I mean,
oh, gosh.
How does that affect the fish? Do they bite better, worse, same?
No, dude, you go from catching 50 to 100 a day to catching like 6 or 7 a day.
Oh, man.
So the fishing during that time was really tough.
Well, I'll tell you, I haven't caught a fish in like months. So I'm not much of a fisherman, but I did throw back a 5-pounder this morning. I mean, it was like, it wasn't a muskie, but it's kind of musky.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't think you know what I'm talking about.
Dropping the kids off.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Hey, you gonna
Browns in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, the Browns are in the big game. Hey, are you a football guy? You even gonna look at this thing Sunday? You won't even be home. You'll be on the road probably.
Dude, I'll be driving home on Sunday because I got to do some filming on Saturday at Kissimmee after this.
Oh, what are you filming this weekend?
So
can you say?
I actually haven't told anybody about this yet.
Oh, drum roll, Kirby.
I got a production company I'm working with called Featherwick, and we're doing a YouTube series.
Sweet.
And it's going to cover the opens and the coasters and basically all the tournaments I fished this year.
Sweet.
And it's going to be, you're going to love the name of it. It's going to be BMF 2020.
Oh, dude, I love it.
That's awesome.
Now, listen,
That's going to have a huge following.
It will, man, overnight.
Yep.
I mean, we're going to talk about it constantly when you actually release it. So you're going to shoot a bunch of episodes and then go in and edit and release them, or are they just going to do, as soon as you do one, edit it and get it out, or what are they going to do?
So we're going to get a couple of them together and then start releasing them.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, so we had the open from 2 weeks ago. We're going to have this one, and there's some killer footage on this one. I mean, I smashed them today.
Oh, my gosh.
And we just got to go do some, intro filming and stuff like that. Yeah. So
well, you got the intro of you sitting on the dock down there in Kentucky. That's you can't get a better intro than that one, dude.
Oh, yeah.
He's down there in Florida ripping lips and impressing chicks. He just got it made.
Hey, last question, Matt, before I let you get back and get you some Walmart fillets, buddy. But right before I let you go, what are the chances you'll be at Guntersville?
Oh, man, I'll be there. I won't be fishing, but I will be at Guntersville.
You're going to be there because I'm probably going to come, and I don't. It's just not. It's not as much fun if you're just going to be there in any form or fashion. Then that seals my trip. I'll be down there too.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. And actually, Omnia Fishing is going to be selling the hats up there.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
I'll get to meet Seth maybe, hopefully.
Oh, yeah, dude, I can cook that up. I'll hook you up with Seth, and I know Seth pretty well. Maybe I can get him to come on your show.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that would be awesome, man. We'd love to have him on. Please do. Next time you see him, hand it up. And, man, you know you got a bunch of crew here on SOKY's Outdoors and in South Central Kentucky that just we think you hung the moon, brother.
I appreciate it, guys. I always enjoy getting on here with you. It's been too long. We're going to have to do it more often.
That's what I'm saying, but you're always so daggone busy now, man. It's
Dude,
when you become a
sorry.
superstar, you forget about us little guys.
Dude, I've been gone for a month now. I'm ready to come home. I'll be honest with you.
Well, we're ready to see you, and good luck finishing up down there and shooting your show, and we can't wait to. I'm glad you broke that here on SOKY's Great Outdoors. No better place to do it, and I'd say everybody listening is pretty excited about that coming out, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I appreciate it, fellas.
Thanks, Matt Robertson, right there, folks. On 'em fishing. Getting ready to be able to check him out on YouTube, which is going to be cool. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some hunting segment here, brought to you by Big and J Long Range Attractants. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
If you're a single man under the age of 35, you'd probably like to know what the ladies are looking for on an online dating site. A guy who had a few drinks and later got pulled over for buzzed driving. See, that could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And doesn't a guy who's back living with his parents but calls them my roommates just scream Mr. Right?
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
In stores now, Pabst Grippo's Beef Jerky. We have taken the great Pabst Beef Jerky and married it with the iconic Grippo's Barbecue Seasoning. This is a marriage made in beef jerky heaven. The thin cut of Pabst Beef Jerky is dusted to perfection with Grippo's Seasoning. Once you try it, you will know no other beef jerky compares. So the next time you're headed on a road trip to the lake or your favorite golf course, be sure to have Pabst Beef Jerky fueling your outdoor lifestyle. PabstJerky.com. Ask for us at your local store.
How much were your heating costs last winter? I'm sure too much. Mike Keith here to tell you how to heat your home for just $600 a year. Trust the experts at Bowling Green Fireplace and Grill to transform your old fireplace into a stunning source of heat with brand names such as Yodel, Fireplace Extraordinaire, Avalon, and Lopi, the Cadillac of fireplaces. Lopi's Cape Cod is the world's cleanest burning wood stove with unbelievable hybrid fire technology. Bowling Green Fireplace and Grill, just off the bridge on Old Louisville Road. BowlingGreenFireplace.com.
Welcome back. Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors. You know, I knew there'd be a snafu today, John. I knew that was going to happen, man. And I forgot to play the Renegade Marine. I played the hunting segment before I played, so I'm going to do that right now just so we make sure we do things right by everybody that's big-time sponsors on here, have been for a long time.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
It's time to go fishing with Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center, 415 Commerce Drive, Litchfield, Kentucky, on SOKY's Great Outdoors.
As you can see, we made it right, though. But we're actually talking about hunting, folks. I know you've been waiting for it. You wait for it all show long. That's why it's the last half hour. Because it's the bread and butter. It's what pays the bills, and nobody better than Josh Honeycutt and John Kirby. Guys, what's going on tonight?
Not much, just watching you run the board there, buddy. Doing a good job.
Well, I don't know about that.
We're gonna
do all these little, red, green, and yellow lights make you feel special, Brian?
They don't. It gives me panic attacks.
It gives me a panic attack just watching you do it. I'm gonna be honest. Not because you're doing a great job. That's a lot of buttons.
Thanks, baby.
Right there.
Appreciate it. It is a lot of buttons.
We're going to talk about buck bedding, Josh. You recently wrote an article, right? 5 ways to create buck bedding. We're going to kind of jump into that and talk about it, and talk about some tools needed, maybe the expenses that you might be up against to do so. So with that said, let's get into it, man. 5 ways to create buck bedding.
Yeah, before we jump into the different ways, I want to kind of cover a few factors that everyone needs to be aware of. If you're not, you may already be aware of these, but if you're not, deer need 4 basic things to inhabit a piece of ground, so it's important to ensure tractor land offers each feature or can be added easily before you spend the time and the money to create a bedding area. The first is cover, which your property lacks, or you wouldn't be, listening to this right now, or you'd be tuned out by now. But deer use terrain to their advantage, and when choosing a bedding area, create one that checks all of their boxes. but one that checks yours too, and it's it's huntable, because we talk about that a lot.
Absolutely, man. That's a great point. And there's so much that goes into creating buck bedding. It's not just going out and kind of wandering around and say this is a good spot. There's so much that goes into it. And just one thing I'll point out is, don't make some buck bedding right next to a property line and help your neighbor out. Not that you're not wishing good on your neighbor, but, create this buck bedding in harmony with other land improvements. Keep all those in mind and kind of make them work in unison.
Absolutely. The second thing deer need to survive is grub. They got to have food. They're concentrate selectors, meaning they consume the most nutrient-rich fruits that they can find. Agriculture, hard mass, soft mass, food plots, forbs, browse, offer a buffet of food source options, and you're more likely to draw and hold deer. They're browse animals, and in winter they relish these, the tiny tree buds that's oftentimes found on timbered trees, the treetops. This is a time when food sources are minimal, and now is the perfect time to bring those buds down below the browse line. Absolutely.
We live in an area, South Central Kentucky, with a lot of ag, a lot of crops. But that doesn't mean that these deer don't utilize natural browse. In fact, most of these deer, their diet is the majority natural browse, even though we live in an area with such abundance of crops.
For sure. Water's another obvious one. Deer drink numerous times per day. A mature 200-pound buck typically drinks anywhere from 3 to 5 quarts in a 24-hour period. Obviously, that fluctuates based on their diet and time of year. Whenever it's spring and summer and they're eating really lush green foods, they actually intake less water traditionally, because they're taking it in through their food sources. But, finally they need space, and that's space to get away from hunters and space to get away from other deer. You won't hold a lot of bucks in one small bedding area outside of bachelor group season. When the testosterone rises, they need their own bedroom that offers security cover within close proximity to other basic needs. Because of this, it's better to create multiple small bedding areas than one big one.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Outside of those core necessities, staging areas are also important on a property whenever you're thinking about putting in buck bedding areas where you hunt. Understand where to create bedding cover. Proximity is crucial, and setting up bedding areas in a way that you can hunt around them is key. Do that by establishing them in a linear path with transition areas, food sources, and water sources. Make sure those huntable staging areas are located between bedding areas and food sources, or between bedding areas and water sources. With that being said, we're going to cover 5 different ways that you can do that. The first is called what I call the big guns gambit. It's talking about bringing in dozers, loaders, or backhoes. This is generally going to cost you anywhere from $130 to an hour to $150 an hour if you contract that out to somebody, or somewhere around $1,000 to $1,200 a day.
Yeah, or unless you're one of the lucky ones and you have that equipment available to you, you can probably cut that cost down, and you're just talking fuel then. But yeah,
we call it the gambit because you're going to sacrifice a few dollars to bring into this whole shindig to fruition. It ain't cheap when you call excavators, but it's the fastest way to get the job done. Plus, you invest very little sweat equity. They do most of the heavy lifting for you, no pun intended. But before you do that, you want to do this regardless of the method that you're going to use, but you want to walk through that bedding area to be and mark all your desirable trees.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to just go hire any construction company, right, to come out and create bedding. You need some expertise on where to put that and how to create it.
Absolutely. And if your excavator doesn't know trees, and honestly, even if they do, you don't want to leave it up to chance. I would go in and just mark trees that you don't want to be removed. And these are obviously going to be trees that are providing food sources for deer, such as your oaks, your beech, your white cedars, not your red cedars. Your white cedars provide food sources. Deer eat that quite a bit during wintertime whenever there's other food sources have dwindled and there's lacking options out there. But anything that produces a food source for deer should be left alone.
Yep, no doubt.
Some of the trees that you can remove, though, that are pretty much, obsolete and of no use to whitetails are sweet gum, cypress, spruce, poplars, birch, sassafras, pines, cherries, and other useless timber that whitetails really don't benefit from. Extremely invasive trees such as sweet gums should probably be stump treated as well. That way they can't sprout back.
Yep.
Keep all your hard and soft mass trees, obviously. Deer consume these. They use them. They benefit from them. Put bright-colored marking tape on these and tell the contractor to only remove unmarked timber. If you can't identify tree species yourself, you should bring in an outside source, as John said. Bring in a biologist or a forester who knows these trees. well and have them walk your property. Sometimes you can find state biologists that will do this for free, not always, but there are certain instances where you might actually be able to have a forester or a biologist come in and it won't cost you anything out of pocket.
Absolutely. And if you can't, Josh, skimping here is not the place to skimp, right? Find, an arborist, somebody that knows trees. It's going to save you a lot of headache, hassle in the long run.
Especially if you're already spending that kind of big money on an excavator. It's not going to be that much more to hire a forester.
Right.
Yep. Once you've got that done, it's time to call in your contractor and let them get to work. Something that you want to talk about, you want to talk about the plan with them and make sure they are very in tune with what you're wanting to do before you actually do it. Before they begin, tell them where you want these trees that have been felled positioned. So, if you just want them right there where they fall, then that's fine. But you might want these tree trunks laid in certain directions to block views and direct traffic.
Absolutely.
And you also might want them to pile up around the perimeters of your bedding area and your food plots that are nearby to help basically shield deer from prying eyes.
Yeah, and you can even use these down treetops and stuff to kind of funnel deer. You can move them to a staging area that leads into a food source, and you can kind of pile these treetops into places you don't want these deer coming through. You can kind of, that's one of those fringe benefits of this.
Especially, like you said, your entry routes and exit routes, piling up treetops where deer can't get there. So something that you might do is take some of these down trees and just basically create a small lane and just, it might be 50 yards, it might be 20 yards, it might be 200 yards, who knows, but you could create a little small lane that basically hides you all the way to your tree stand. I mean, it's just like think of it as like a chute in a cattle gate whenever you're working cattle. A lot of times there's long, skinny pathways that that cattle run into, and you've probably got 8 or 10 cattle lined up ready to go into the chute. It's the same concept with built using these down treetops to block views and to keep deer from crossing your scent trail.
Yep, great stuff.
Another one that we call is the next one. It's the chainsaw massacre. It costs about $375 to $400 depending on what you spend on product. But you need a chainsaw blades, blade sharpeners, oil, fuel, gloves, chainsaw chaps, and that big pretty orange chainsaw helmet. Obviously, a lot of people around here, you're laughing at me, but hey, we don't want to get anybody in trouble or anybody hurt, so we're going to throw out all the safety equipment as well. But it's hinge cutting. That's the next method.
Absolutely. Yeah, look forward to talking about this. I think this is something that's misunderstood a lot, and I think at times, and I've even been guilty of this, trying to make improvements when I'm actually doing more harm than good. So this is a good topic here.
Let's save that for right after the break, guys. That sounds fun. Come right back here in just a second. We'll finish that up with Josh and John here on Soky's Great Outdoors.
Boy, Earl, I sure am glad you're driving us to the hunting spot this year.
Uh-huh.
Say, Earl, it's mighty cold out today. Did you ever upgrade to a carrier like I told you to?
Nah, I still get one of them others.
Huh. Well, I hope you trust it, because later on this evening when we get done hunting, I'll be back at the house curled up in my recliner with a nice cold glass of buttermilk and my feet up. Roasty, toasty warm.
My heater's fine.
You better hope so, because if it ain't, Luann's going to be blowing your phone up here soon.
I ain't worried about Luann, buddy. Yeah.
Earl, where on earth are you at? I am at home. This heater is busted, and I'm freezing my piggies off. Get home right now.
All right.
Now, Earl, I can see you're mad, and I ain't happy about this neither, because now we ain't going to get to go hunting, but you should have turned to the experts and upgraded a carrier like I told you. Your comfort is their concern, Cat Daddy. Now, call.
You quiet now.
All right.
Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating, and Cooling. Servicing Carrier and all others. 270-782-5391.
Spring is around the bend and you still don't have a Tracker, Nitro, Regency, or Sun Tracker boat? Don't wait. Get to Renegade Marine today so you've got that new Tracker, Nitro, Regency, or Sun Tracker boat for this summer. Get on the water this summer with Renegade Marine's huge selection of boats with financing available so you can find that boat that you want and that payment that fits. Service is available too to make sure you're on the water as much as possible. Get to Renegade Marine, your authorized Tracker, Nitro, Regency, and Sun Tracker dealer just off the Western Kentucky Parkway, exit 107, or online anytime at renegademarine.net.
Although hunting to most of us is much more than just harvesting animals, why not better your deer herd's health with Big & J Long Range Attractant? Big & J is highly digestible, high in protein, and isn't full of preservatives. With Big & J Long Range Attractants, you're not only exploiting one of the few weaknesses whitetails have, their stomachs, but you're maximizing antler growth, improving overall herd health, and pulling deer from your neighbor's property. So whether your goals are to fill the freezer, kill mature bucks, or both, Big & J long-range attractants will stack the odds in your favor, all the while making your deer herd bigger and healthier.
Not all spray-in is created equal. For example, spray-in honey.
Why are all these bees following me?
Or maybe spray-in tanning.
Hey, you missed a spot there on your face. Oh, that's bad.
See Line-X Bowling Green for spray-in bed liners and Line-X truck gear. It's the next level of complete tough gear for your truck. B&W gooseneck hitches, toolboxes, step bars, and WeatherTech doormats. Gift cards now available. Easy, affordable, and rugged. Line-X. Check out more at linexbowlinggreen.com.
Time to talk some more hunting with Josh and John. Going to pick up on that discussion. Tonight's hunting segment brought to you by Big & J Long Range Attractant. Swagger bipods. It doesn't get much better, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to close her down with some more awesome stuff from these two guys.
Man, when I hear that song, I just want to strip down to my underwear and run the Talladega 500.
With your hair on fire.
Ricky Bobby.
What is it? What's their thing they do? Shake and bake, baby. Slingshot.
That's right. Slingshot, John.
The slingshot move. That's great. Yeah, where we left off, Josh, hinge cutting, right, man? That's something I think is missed a lot of times, and not necessarily doing it wrong, but not benefiting the maximum amount by doing this hinge cutting. So take it away.
Yeah, it's madness. But it's controlled madness. You know, mass murder filled with flying chips of wood and trails of sap everywhere. But it's fun and it's productive as long as you do it right. You know, as you said, that's key.
Yeah, absolutely. This is another great time to bring in a biologist. If you can't determine what every tree is you're cutting, perfect time to come in, bring a biologist in, somebody to help you determine exactly what you need to be hinge cutting.
Yep. Once you get that done, strap on the headgear and strap on the chaps and get to work. Again, start by marking trees to keep oaks and other mass-bearing trees are vital. But remember, in years with heavy acorn crops, having a lot of mass producers right in the middle of a thick cover is likely to keep deer inside of that bedding area until after dark. So if you are going to leave a bunch of oaks inside of a thick, early successional area that you're wanting deer to bed in, that could pose a problem if you're not willing to hunt close to that bedding area.
Absolutely. You know, and another big thing about hinge cutting is what you're doing is you're creating food for these deer. And if you're not hinge cutting these trees right to where that they can stay alive for the longest amount of time that they can, you're kind of just robbing them of that potential food source.
Absolutely. So if you are going to leave a bunch of oaks in the bedding area, you want to make sure you have good stand locations you can take advantage of. You want to make sure that you have good entry and exit routes that allow you to hunt those without pressuring deer too. That's definitely key. Once you do that, when it comes to the actual hinge cutting process and you start cutting trees, make a wedge cut on the opposite side of the tree you want the trunk to fall toward. Falling toward the cut can increase the risk of injury to you, and obviously, that's obvious, but it can also increase the risk of complete separation from the stump.
Absolutely. Yeah, hinge cutting, it's not the same as felling a 100-year-old oak tree, but still can be very dangerous.
Right. You want to make that cut approximately 2 to 3 feet, somewhere between knee-high and waist-high, depending on your height. Instead of sawing all the way through, you want to go just far enough that the tree falls but doesn't detach from the stump. About half of the trunk should probably remain intact.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this keeps it alive so nutrients can continue channeling through that trunk. And as John's been saying, that's the key to hinge cutting. You don't want to just cut a tree over just to cut it over. You want to cut it over in a manner that it's going to continue producing foliage. That gives the deer additional cover, but it also provides food sources too.
Absolutely. Josh, when you utilize this technique of hinge cutting, generally what height do you typically like to start your cut?
Generally around waist height.
Yeah.
Is what I prefer.
Yeah.
Again, if you're, like 8 feet tall, it's going to be around knee high. But, somewhere around 3 feet. If it's a really small tree, and I'm hinge cutting it, I might do it down around 2.5 feet. But for the most part, if you're looking at a medium to large size tree, it's going to be up there around waist height for me.
Yeah. About same for me, no doubt.
Maybe a little higher. Some people prefer to go on up. Some people who hinge cut like to get up around that 4 to 5 foot range. But when it comes to me, it's not quite as safe when you're using a chainsaw at head height. You're a little safer and a little bit stronger. You know, if your chainsaw does kick back on you, you're going to be able to control that a little bit easier with a little bit more force if you're cutting it at waist height rather than head height.
Yeah, and something else, I don't have any data on this, but I do know, and I've heard it talked about when you're hinge cutting, don't just hinge cut all the same size trees or generally the same age trees. You can kind of create an age growth gap there. So I like to kind of mix it up, some smaller, some a little bigger than that. I'm not looking for all the exact same size trees, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. The next one that we've got is called the hatchet technique. Other people like to call it hack and squirt. Is that something you've used before?
No, never have.
I've not done a lot of it, but I've watched a lot of people do it, and I've been, in the presence of other people using this technique. It's not something that I've personally done much of, and I actually had to consult, whenever I was writing this article, I had to consult a specialist for this one, because I don't have much experience with it. But basically, the hack and squirt method takes longer to reset the habitat clock. It's not going to occur quite as quickly as the first two options that we talked about. Whenever you use this method, it is cheaper. It costs about $200 to do this. Again, these numbers are just ballpark estimates. Obviously numbers are going to either increase or decrease based on the size of the area that you're working with. So these numbers are relative. But in relation to one another, the ratios, if they do increase or decrease, the ratios should be about the same. But this is a popular choice among many land managers in summer, fall, and winter. It's not something that you want to do in spring. Excessive sap production can actually dilute the chemical effectiveness of hack and squirt. Check the forecast, and only use this technique whenever there's no rain in the forecast. Remember to wear your proper protective clothing, gloves, glasses, and clothing too. These chemicals that you're using to do this are pretty harsh, so you definitely don't want to make contact with those.
Man, good stuff. Was that number 5?
No, it's not. We're still on number 3.
Oh gosh!
But different trees require different herbicides, but most products are effective on a wide variety of species. We won't dive into all the specific chemicals that you can use tonight, but you can obviously find those online. But yeah, basically, whenever you're using this method, you're just going to hack into the tree. You can use. Most people use a hatchet. Just a hatchet or a machete or something like that. And you want to cut through the cambium layer that's going to be just past the bark. That allows you to insert and apply the herbicide into that cut. You want that cut to be a cup and hold that herbicide, and it's going to kill the tree. And over time, the tree will die, leaving an open canopy, and sunlight gets to the fourth floor.
Huh? Yeah, that's a technique that's pretty admittedly new to me, Josh. I haven't been around that technique, and I haven't used it myself.
It's not something that I've personally used, again, but it is something that I've watched other people do. A lot of the QDMA, people who practice QDM are members of the QDMA. It seems to be a pretty popular choice among that crowd.
Yeah.
That's where I learned of it.
Yep.
Was the QDMA. But it's definitely effective. It just takes longer to reset that habitat clock because it's going to take a little time for that to kill that tree and to open that canopy up so that the light can hit the forest floor. The last one is the budget blueprint. It costs $5, and that's a pair of gloves. Basically, it's the game plan for those who can't use the first 3 or don't have the budget to make something like that happen, or if you don't have permission to make a big changes like that. Most people are hunting by permission. So if you're hunting on private land by permission, you're obviously not going to be able to take a dozer in there more than likely. You're probably not going to be able to saw down a bunch of trees. Landowners just usually aren't up on that. Yeah. So, this is really the only option you have if you're hunting by the good graces of someone or if you're leasing a property. And that's basically, you just got to go in and find all the debris that you can find within that on that property. If there's brush, downed cedar trees are great for this. And if your landowner that you're hunting on allows you to cut cedar trees down and you don't want them and he doesn't want them, these are perfect for that. But basically, you're just creating actually small butt beds. You can basically take 2 down trees or 2 logs or 2 cedar treetops, whatever it might be, and create a V pattern with them to where there's just enough room for a buck to lay down between the 2. Obviously, you want to have a wide gap on one end and then a small gap on the other. You don't want to close the V because then the deer has no escape route. You want to be able to that deer to exit in two directions, out the front or out the back. But I've done that quite a bit throughout the years on properties that I only have permission to hunt. And did stuff like that, and I actually had success with deer using those beds.
Yeah, me too. Probably more so than any technique. They really prefer that back cover, though. These, at least in my experience, these mature bucks almost always bed with a big down tree, a big giant boulder, something behind them. So yeah, man, good stuff.
And you know, that's kind of the worst case scenario too, because and I've seen the same, John. And usually when I see that personally, I can't speak for everybody, but whenever I see a deer bedding with its back to something, generally it's because the bedding isn't that high quality.
Right.
Usually there's not a lot of good early successional growth that they feel safe in. Like, for example, you know, all the beds that we found on the property that we leased in Ohio, there's not really, none of those deer, or the beds that we found were really laid up against rock walls or downed logs. I'm sure there are some because we've not scoured that property. I'm sure there are some. But in the real thick, nastiest, best available bedding, they're just bedding in a bunch of thick stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's where deer want to be. But if the property that you hunt don't have that, or if it's not as good as it, you know, you'd like for it to be, you will find deer bed up against rock walls and down logs and stuff like that, because I see the same thing on the properties that I hunt that don't have as good a, you know, don't offer as good a bedding cover.
Right. Exactly.
But, you know, those are the 4 options that we have. The 5th option is the start from scratch option. And that's just to go find a new place to hunt, because if you're not able to have good deer hunting and there's not good available bedding cover in that, you know, area or on the tract of land that you're, you know, trying to kill deer on, there's really not much you can do if you can't either A, make it, or B, find it. So if you can't make additional bedding cover for deer and improve the habitat yourself, or if you can't locate it on the property that you're hunting, you just need to start from scratch and find somewhere else to go, because that's the only thing you're going to be able to do to improve your chances of killing that big deer that you've been trying to kill.
Yeah, man, and in this case, really putting this bedding in an optimal place is really where it comes into play. We're not talking about going in and enhancing existing bedding. We're talking about a whole new place, a whole new ball game. If you're going to go in there and create bedding, do so with a plan, something that makes sense, where you got transitions from bedding to staging areas, to food, you know, do so with a plan. You know, keep in mind, if you're hunting a place that's got topography on it, a lot of times bucks like to bed in that upper 2/3. All these little sorts of things are things you need to keep in mind when you're going in on a new place and creating this bedding.
Absolutely. And if you personally don't feel confident doing this, if you own a property and you don't know how to do it yourself, or you don't feel quite like you know enough, or whatever that might be, there are plenty of land consultants out there who will come to your properties, obviously for a fee, and help you design your hunting land, so to speak. You know, people like Jeff Sturgis and Whitetail Habitat Solutions, you know, that's just one example, but he knows his stuff. There's a lot of other guys and girls out there doing the exact same thing, and they know their stuff too. So do your research and find the land consultant for you if you decide to go that route, and then you just get to have fun next deer season. So
absolutely, man, great stuff.
It just gets better every week, guys, and we're almost at 200 episodes, and it gets better every week. We appreciate everybody listening. I want to do a special shout out to J&K Used Cars, Johnny John's, our buddy over there, Jimmy,
yep.
Robert, all of them. You know, they got some great stuff on the lot always, and they're great to work with. They'll take good care of you. Check them out. You can check out Josh Honeycutt, John Kirby. Follow them on social media. Follow us on Facebook if you want, but you can read some great articles that these two gentlemen have written. They don't only talk it, they live it, and they want to shoot you straight, just like we do. Thanks for listening. We will see you next week.